Okay, so the reason I wrote Just One Thing is because it essentially makes learning a new behavior and sticking with it much easier. Originally, it was a podcast. I've just written the book, which has just been published, and that includes 30 Just One Things, and they're kind of my top favorites, if you like. And they're the basis of many, many years of research, but the idea is they're essentially easy to do. So one of the top one things is actually doing what I call resistance exercises first thing in the morning, and that's press-ups and squats. So I did those. This is me dancing, yeah. Dancing's up there with Just One Things. I interviewed a very enthusiastic neuroscientist who used to be a ballet dancer, and she was very keen on that. Here I am doing some squats. The squat is probably the best single exercise you can do because it works the muscles in your bottom and thighs, which are the kind of biggest muscles in your body. And also it leads to an increased surge of blood to your brain. And this is me having a shower, a cold shower. I'm not sure if either of you are fans of cold showers, but
No.
I am a fan of Wim Hof. And so that's what I do first thing in the morning. I get out of bed, I do my press-ups and squats, and then I have a cold shower, and then I go for a walk. And while I'm in the cold shower, I also sing very, very loudly. But that,
I don't know. Are you single? I just feel sorry. I feel sorry for whoever's cohabiting with you, singing and freezing. She loves it too. In all seriousness, though, I love the idea of Wim Hof and all of his freezing suggestions. But I am like a reptile. I hate being cold. And I know there are health benefits to it, but I can't do it. How long are you in a cold shower for?
Only about 30 seconds, enough to sing a couple of verses of something, 30 to 40 seconds. So I start off in the warm shower and then I turn it to cold. And it's a good thing if you can involve your spouse because then, or your partner, because then they will do it with you. And there is some very decent science behind it. I mean, the great thing about Just One Thing, and as I said, the new book has 30 Just One Things, is you don't have to do them all. Indeed, I wouldn't encourage you to do them all. They are my top 30, if you like. Yeah. And they include much pleasanter things, you'll be pleased to know, like eating a square of dark chocolate.
Right. So can I just say, Michael, if I involved my partner in the cold shower and singing routine at 7 a.m, it would be certain divorce.
Absolutely, but give you something to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's surprising.
But why
I would have said a year ago, cold showers, absolutely not. But now I've got into them.
But what does the singing do, apart from probably irritate your wife?
The singing is a really good mood booster. There is a lot of evidence that singing also helps control pain. They've done studies in patients with arthritis and other conditions, and they find that the singing leads to a surge of what's called endocannabinoids. Now, these are cannabis-like substances which your body naturally produces. And a few years ago, I was involved in an experiment where we got a group of people to either sing together in a choir or to cycle madly for half an hour or to read instructions from a washing machine manual. They were kind of the control group. And what we found is the people who sang together, they got this big burst of endocannabinoids in their system. And that seemed to be one of the reasons why singing lifts you and fills you with joy, particularly if you do it with other people. And as I said, it's a great way to combat the shock of the cold.
You see, I've always wanted as an adult to join an adult choir, but I'm a bit traumatised because when I was at school, I'll never forget Mr. Marr, my music teacher, taking me to one side after choir practice and telling me to study the music at home. Because although I was giving it lots of gumption, wasn't quite hitting the notes, I loved it, but apparently it wasn't quite what they were after. Anyway, look, what is it about the human psyche that says we only can really handle one thing to change our lives? There's something sort of palatable about it that I suppose we're sort of a bit scared of taking on too much or too busy. I don't know.
I think it's probably that we have all these habits which drive us through the day, and habit is incredibly powerful. So introducing something, one small thing. If you decide you're going to run the marathon, many people are never going to do it. They're just not going to get there. So it's simpler if you can do something which really only takes a few minutes or which has a very, very clear objective. Now, the thing I am best known for is having invented the 5-2 diet. Intermittent fasting. I did that 10 years ago to reverse my diabetes. Now, intermittent fasting has a very, very simple idea at the heart of it. 5-2. 2 days where you cut your calories. So that is a very clear message. In the book, my current book, what I look at is actually a thing called time-restricted eating, which again has a very clear message. See if you can do what's called 12-12. See if you can go 12 hours without eating overnight. So stop eating at about 8 o'clock. Don't start eating again until 8 the next morning. And if you do that, there are some very clear benefits. And it's kind of, achievable. So that's, I think, why the just one thing approach works very well. And you kind of build it up. Most of the things in the just one thing are things you can do very fast. Eat press-ups and squats, you can get it over with in a couple of minutes. Cold shower, done in, under a minute. Eating a square of chocolate, well, that's enjoyable. And again, it's done in less than a minute. And all of these things have a lot of science behind them. So in the book, I kind of describe how to do it. I also have a section of science justifying why you might want to do it. And I stress very strongly, I do not expect you to do all of them. So if you are a reptile, then clearly...
one little question for you. Michael, one little question for you. Do you do anything that's unhealthy?
Oh, yes, absolutely, all the time. The things I do that are unhealthy is, given half a chance, I will eat biscuits and milk chocolate. So I cannot have them in the house because otherwise I will eat them. I have zero willpower. So that is the other thing about these things. They have to become a habit so that you don't actually need to exert willpower to do them.
But backed by science, that's what it's all about, I suppose, because I was thinking one thing a day that improves your mood, alcohol. Probably not good for my health, though.
Vodka's all right, isn't it?
Red wine.
Red wine's the way to go.
What about vodka? What about my vodka?
Vodka, not so much, no. Red wine has these substances in them which are called flavonols.
I don't like the sound of that.
From the plant. And that actually, modest amounts of red wine, and that's the word modest, isn't it? It's always the word modest.
Yeah.